Just about every single DeWalt or Mac tool I have has the provision for mounting a belt clip until I got this cordless drywall cutout tool. As you can see, it is indexed for it, but it has no holes and no precast hex-shaped area for the nut to seat in. So we are going to go over how to add one to this DCS 551 or any other tool like it in a second. So first you need to determine what side of the tool you want it on. I want it hanging with this label facing my leg from my left side, so I'm going to be putting a hole right here. The other thing you need to do is go either steal a clip off something else or go buy one. Most of them, however, they come with the clip and the bolt. They don't include this nut. So what you need to do to get this tiny metric nut is either go to the hardware store and match it up, or every impact and drill has them on both sides. So the side that you're not going to use, simply screw the screw in a few threads, push down, it'll pop out, unthread the rest of the way, and then take the nut out of the other side. And that way, you know, if someone ever wants to flip it, they might be a little aggravated, but they still have the one from the other side. You really don't need two in both sides. So that's the route I elected to take. Alright, so what you're going to need is an appropriately sized drill bit. I just matched one up. I'm sure it's off a little bit because it's going to be a imperial sized bit with the metric thread. You're going to need that, of course, your cordless drill. In my case, that's a DeWalt DCD 991. But what you're going to want to do is mock up this clip right where you're going to want it. And that's going to give you a pretty good indication of where you need to drill. Ideally right in the middle of, where you see that yellow, because these two fingers index, very tightly in one spot. This is going to be hard for you to see because I'm going to drill it the right ways, but we're going to go right in the middle. And just like that, we've got our hole. It might be a little small. I erred on the side of caution. It is. We can go up a size, or you can just live with it and thread it through there. It's not going to be the end of the world either way. The reason I went smaller first is because the nut isn't going to have that hex on the inside. We're entirely relying on the clamping force of these threads to hold the clip on. And I just thought, you don't want it wiggle wobbling in that hole to go through there. So that's still a snug fit. We're probably going to stick with that and just run it through there with the screwdriver. It'll almost act like it's self-tapping. But that'll help us hold this on to get it started. However, once we get it going, that'll be, a good help to us, because then we'll just put the nut on the other side, get a wrench in there, and then we'll tighten it down, and it'll, clean itself out. So as I previously mentioned, this is going to thread right in. It's a snug fit. But obviously you're going to want a lot more than this. Right now I'm using, I believe, a P1 Phillips. It's a smaller one. It's a good sharp one. A size smaller would probably be good. But I'm actually in my basement, so I'm just using this extra set I happen to have down here. Beggars can't be choosers sort of thing. Alright, so you got that good and tight. And if I were to go another turn or two, this would strip itself right out of those threads. And that's not what we want to happen. But if you can see very carefully down in there, that's where we're trying to get this nut on. And there's all my extra plastic shards. So that's going to be a little difficult. I'm going to either try this pair of needle. So right here, we're going to see that I'm going to fumble around quite a bit trying to get this nut on. And at the end of the day, I'm not even going to bother with it. It had threaded itself into that glass fiber reinforced, I guess nylon, it's not really even plastic, so well that it really wasn't necessary. The clip's good and stout, and I haven't had any issues with it. If it ever were to pull out, then I would simply spend a little more time with the tweezers and maybe a Dremel to carve away a little bit more of that nut should go. It is quite difficult to get it started without that precast hex insert that most of the tools have. That is for However, you know, like I said, worst case, you can always try again. At this point, I would have stuck with the first drill bit and an even tighter hole. It is, for whatever reason, a self-tapping screw, so that worked out pretty well.
Drill bit, because that might be a little too close for comfort. Because remember, the battery, you know, it slides inside this rail, and there needs to be sufficient room tucked alongside there. We know that whole bolt length can fit. We're going to need to get the nut sucked down on there, otherwise we're going to have issues when we go to put in the battery. So that worked out pretty well. I just took an 1/8 inch drill bit and hit that support right there. We just got to get all these little shavings out. That'll be a treat. Those will be in there for a few years, but oh well, can't win them all. So now we're going to thread this in a little bit further. So I want that top sticking out, so I have something to try to get the nut started on. It can be a little bit of a joy trying to get these things going. I've done a few of these before. I've never had to drill a hole in like this, but I've added them to try to lock them in new ones, and it's not a good time normally. Because even if you get it right in there with your tweezers, it's still really hard to get it lined up so that it wants to start threading out, because they're such fine and small threads. And I don't want to necessarily thread this all the way, because I don't mind a little holding power from the threads in this, you know, nice glass fiber reinforced nylon. So that's why I'm being very careful. Alright. Did it take? Oh no, it fell in next to it. Joy. You know, and sometimes I wonder if I could have just left that hole a little smaller and threaded this in. But you really don't, you know, you don't really want your clip to fail. And you find that out when your tool goes flying. That's not good. So we're going to try this again. Yeah, the idea is put it right on top and then tip it. Now you're holding it, I'm pushing down as hard as I can with my nail. It's on the screw. This takes a few times and it'll either start threading or it'll fall off. I kind of think it started threading there. That felt pretty good. But I'm sure I'll flip it. Yep, and it didn't. But, I mean, this is one of those things. Eventually you're going to get it. It's going to be a pain, but we'll get back to you when we do get it. Alright, change of plans. Once going in there, you're going to get tightened down. I snug this up, and the thing's so tight, I'm not even going to bother with the nut. It is so damn tight, watch me strip it out, that I'm not at all concerned about just hanging it like this. This tool isn't very heavy. I'm never going to have bigger than a 2 amp hour battery in there, and I don't think there's really any need to. So we're probably going to stick with that for now. I don't even think you'd have to cut any more material out of there. It's just being very difficult. I just put one of these back on an impact the other day, and it wasn't half the struggle this was, but sometimes that's how it goes. So at the end of the day, if you want your cordless rotozip cutout tool or any other DeWalt tool that didn't come with a clip to have one, this is what you're going to have to do.